Hello and welcome to the Mesa Art Center podcast. On this episode, we speak with artist Ben Venom. Ben is a visual artist who graduated from the San Francisco Art Institute in 2007 with a Master of Fine Arts degree. His work has been shown both nationally and internationally, and currently his exhibit, Use It or Lose It, is being featured here at the Mesa Contemporary Art Museum from September 13th to January 12th. Working with repurposed materials to create textile-based pieces, Ben contrasts the often menacing and aggressive counterculture components of gangs, punk metal music, and the occult with the comforts of domesticity. This collision of traditional quilting techniques with elements tied to the fringes of society re-envisions the story of the material through a softer lens. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy. All right, welcome to the Mesa Art Center podcast. We're here with the world famous Ben Venom. Really excited to get to learn more about who you are and your process. And I will say, if I forget, and I don't think I will, but one of the things I absolutely want to talk about is some of your custom jackets. Okay. Because that to me is like one of my favorite things in the world to do. I actually made my own Letterman jacket last year. Yeah.
You have to show me on your
phone. Oh yeah, I will. I'll show it. Yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, oh man, I want to talk about that. But let's start, kind of in the beginning of your life. You said you were originally born in Georgia.
Yes.
You now reside in San Francisco. When does the first kind of like glimpse into the artistic realm for you, when does that happen?
Pretty early, when I was maybe like around 4 or 5, I was always interested in drawing. So from that age, I've always been fascinated with drawing with pencil or crayon, and that just kind of always led through elementary school to middle school to high school to college. I always took art classes. Okay. So I'd say pretty early on, I just had an interest in that. I was also really interested in sports. So it was like sports and drawing. Yeah. That's still the case. So
yeah, I love that. I actually think that, a lot of times people will think, especially as adults, it's like you're either into the arts or you're into sports or whatever it is. But I think for me, as a young boy growing up, I was into all of it, right? I was like, yeah, I like to play sports. I like to draw. I like to write poetry. I like to make music. And now as an adult, I find the weaving of that kind of really interesting. So what was the first time you were like super inspired by somebody else's artwork? Like, what was that experience like? Who was it and how did it inspire you?
Man, I've never been asked that question. That's a good question. I would probably say probably around high school, and it must have been probably like album covers for like punk or heavy metal bands. Yeah. I remember really liking Iron Maiden album covers, Derek Riggs, which are, pretty hard to miss. Yeah. The Eddie and all his different kind of variations. So that would probably be my answer, would be Iron Maiden. Yeah. Somewhere in Time, Seventh Son of Seventh Son, all those. I like those album covers. Aces High. I don't know. I like them all.
Yeah, no, album covers I think that makes me feel like we're of the same generation. Because
I think we are. I'm up there. So.
yeah, right.
I might be older than you, but I don't know.
Yeah, but I loved album covers. Getting a CD when it came out and like getting it out of that really ornery shrink wrap paper and then getting the cover out and looking at everything, like that was a part of the culture.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. So you're showing your age because you said CD.
CD, yes.
And we can even talk about vinyl, which really will give you an idea of how old we are. But yeah, like one of the first CD I remember buying was Aerosmith Pump, but then the second one was AC/DC Razor's Edge. Okay. And that album cover is pretty awesome too. Yeah. But some of the other ones, to kind of add on to my answer, would also be like skateboarding graphics. Yep. So like I had a Steve Caballero skateboard. It was one of my first skateboards, like the Dragon with like kind of like the bat silhouette shape. and I would cut like the grip tape into that shape like everybody else.
Yeah.
And because those boards are pretty awesome. And Search for Animal Chin was like a pivotal skateboard video.
Yeah.
Growing up, but yeah. So I Iron Maiden, skateboarding graphics.
Okay. So I love that, because that to me is, in terms of visual arts, right? That is what would be considered, at least in my opinion, like the counterculture of visual arts, right?
Yeah, totally. Back then, for
sure, right? Because it wasn't popular and but you did go to the Art Institute in San Francisco.
Right. I went to the San Francisco Art Institute.
San Francisco Art Institute.
There's a difference.
I'm going to assume that there's a difference. No, absolutely.
Because there is the Art Institute of San Francisco. And then there's the California College of the Art, blah, blah, blah.
I'm going to assume the one you went to is the more prestigious one.
Yes, of course.
but then you wind up getting a Master of Fine Arts. I always think it's hilarious, the words Master of Fine Arts.
Yeah.
But you bring that kind of counterculture vibe into that. Like, how was that transition for you?
Well, I kind of look at, much like Takashi Murakami looks at like his super flat, as kind of like this colliding of two different like disparate kind of ideas. So it's kind of like the high is colliding with the low. So case in point, like I try to be as best that I can be at my craft, which is textiles, primarily the medium I'm working in. But at the same time, I'm influenced by what I would call like the cutty, what we were talking about, like skateboard graphics, band covers, etc., which are a little bit more edgy, counterculture, and then colliding that into the form of a functional piece of artwork.
Yeah.
So going to the San Francisco Art Institute, when I was there, they really focused on this idea of kind of concept was really big. So you would learn like skills and whatnot, but the concept will reign supreme in the program, especially in the master's program. So we had like a new genres department. And the joke there was like, you can do virtually anything you want, and it can be art, which sometimes goes a little too far, but I get
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, I understand.
But that was good. It kind of opened my eyes, like, oh, it can be anything, like literally anything, like an action can be something.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of really interesting. So I kind of took that overarching, deep concept. I always have that in the back of my head, and have tried to apply that to my artwork.
Yeah, I love that. To me, the best artists and the best creatives are those that somehow figure out how to blend these two worlds, this dichotomy that don't necessarily always succinct, right? And I think of it as, I tell my kids, I have 3 kids, I always say, it is important to have book smarts. It's also important to have street smarts.
Oh, totally.
If you can take those things together, you'll have a superpower that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
And that's what I love a lot about art as well, is like being able to blend those worlds together.
And that's exactly how I feel too. It's like, so it's not just one thing, like my art. And many years ago, I kind of hit like a crisis of conscience just for myself personally within my art making practice. I wanted to do something that went beyond just bring a pretty picture to hang on the wall. Not that there's anything wrong with that at all. I'm just talking about me personally. I wanted my art to be able to do something a little bit more than just hang on the wall. And that's what ultimately led to working with the textiles.
Yeah.
So even if you don't like what I do, which is totally fine, if you don't like the imagery, totally fine. You don't like me? Fine. But you can still use everything, like the jackets.
Yeah.
The quilts are technically a quilt, and you can actually use them.
Yeah.
The jackets, the quilts, the tote bags. I've made a giant curtain, pillowcases, etc. So it has a very distinct purpose in the world. So it's not just this one thing.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah.
Much like telling your children, I have a 6-year-old daughter. So, and like the street smart thing, I'd almost say that that's a tad bit more important than the book smart.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just right now. She's only in 1st grade, so like that might change.
Yeah.
But like I have a good friend of mine that I grew up with, and he's very street savvy. And I've just seen that as we've grown up together, from being young teenagers to, adults with children. His daughter's in her 20s now. And I've seen that work really well to his advantage.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like I see how you played that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well done, sir. Didn't learn that in school because I was sitting next to you.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting because, not to get down a rabbit hole, which I can do for sure, but I think about education and when did formal education become a part of our existence as humans, right? I know and I'm not a historian, but I do know that before there were books, there were the streets, right? The streets in which we were learning to be humans and survive. And so street smarts is always, I think, the best tool when you can take that and start to think about theory and how all these ideas collide. It really is a superpower.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that is the perfect word for me. Is I describe my art as a collision. It's a collision of fine art, craft, and what I would call the fringes of society, the counterculture elements, much like we've been talking about. And I take all that and I collide that into the form of a functional piece of artwork. So it's like the collision factor is really important to me. And I liked all those kind of different things because you can pick and choose from a variety of sources. You're not just honed in on making art about this. It can be about a lot of things. And for me, what's really important about that is that when someone comes to view my art, I don't know what their background is. I don't know what their political views are. I don't know where they're coming from, religiously or whatnot. And that's okay because there's a lot there that they can unpack within my art. Maybe they donated fabric for something. Yeah. Maybe they saw this band play. Maybe they used to skateboard with Tony Hawk or Steve Caballero or Natas Kappas or whoever, that's super awesome. So it's like they can bring that to the table because that's there for them as well.
Well, and that's what art, in my opinion, is supposed to do. It's supposed to inspire. It's supposed to spark conversations. It's supposed to extend conversations. And it's fine if it doesn't do that, but as a creator, that's why I create. I don't create just so people can say, oh, that's cool. It's like, what does that make you feel? Let's have a conversation about it so that we can learn how to be better humans, right? And when you have art that is just specifically in a gallery or something like that, if you're not going to the gallery, then how are you ever going to experience it? But when you put it on clothing or make it functional, that's like a win-win.
Yeah, so it's like, excuse me, when have you ever been able to see art walk out of the museum?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Not that I want that to happen tonight, but
when it legally walks out. Yeah.
I have an attorney, but you should get one too.
Yeah.
But I like that aspect of it because then one way to look at it is it's like free advertising.
100%.
But I look at it in another way where, like I said earlier, it's functional, but then it's like getting a different use by that particular person who might have purchased that jacket or the tote bag, etc., which are some of the pieces in the exhibition here at the museum. But and personally, I like seeing stuff out in the public that's mine.
Yeah.
That I'm not wearing it. I'd rather someone else wear it.
Yeah.
Don't be the guy that wears the band T-shirt of the band you're going to go see, right? Don't be that guy.
Yeah. Unless you have to. Right? I think that's where you kind of start, But so let me ask about the collision of things, because I'm interested. I love when different mediums collide. So you talked about the collision of culture. What do you ever mix in other mediums with your the visual aspect of it?
Other mediums, as in not just textiles, but printmaking
or something? So for example, the reverse would be I'm a poet, I'm a writer, that's my primary medium. I love to take poetry and put it on t-shirts and for the same reason, so that it walks out into the world, right? So do you ever use any other mediums like lyrics or things like that?
Absolutely. So if you look back at some of my earlier pieces, I definitely have pulled from little segments of songs that I like. Yeah. Case in point, Ozzy Osbourne, No More Tears. So I made a No More Tears quilt out of used denim jeans. And the reason why I did that, one, I like that song. Yeah. But two, my mom and my father washed my sister and I's hair with Johnson & Johnson shampoo. Yeah. And if you remember, it was No More Tears.
No More Tears,
the slogan.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was of great importance to me because even if you don't know who Ozzy Osbourne is, which it might be possible today, I don't know, maybe use Johnson & Johnson shampoo. Yeah. So it has that duality to it. Another one would be Wherever I May Roam, which is taken from Metallica lyric. But that was that piece was purchased by a hotel in Chicago. So you I don't know what floor, I think it's the 7th floor of the hotel in Chicago. The elevator doors open and then it says Wherever I May Roam, where I lay my head is home. So it's you're traveling, so it's perfect for that. Yeah. Another one would be Turn Up the Night. So it's like kind of these dualities of like, what is he talking about a lyric, or is it a different saying? So I kind of like pulling from little things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm very particular about what I pull from. One, I want to be, if I'm pulling from like a song, it's something that I'm actually listen to.
Yeah, for sure.
Bands I don't like, I'm not going to pull lyrics from that. So
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's all right, man. Forget those guys.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah. No. So let me ask an interesting question. Do you remember where the first piece of art that you commissioned or sold? Do you remember that experience? Like, where did it go?
That was bought, like someone who bought my
Yeah,
artwork?
like you just said that one of your pieces
Yeah.
in this Chicago hotel, which is a very
It's
prestigious
sold.
place.
Yeah. So this will be, I'll try to answer this not in a long-winded way. So the very first time I ever had an art show, like legit art show,
Okay.
was probably over 25 years ago. And it was at a coffee shop in Atlanta called Aurora Coffee.
Okay.
And I had probably about 15 pieces. They're small. They're like mixed media cyanotypes with screen printing, right? I sold every single one of those pieces. The show sold out.
Nice.
So to answer your question, most of that was friends that bought it.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to duplicate that since.
Really?
Never sold out.
Never sold out one night?
Since then, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this art thing is pretty easy.
Yeah.
Never duplicated it ever. Nowhere near that.
Yeah.
But so short answer to your question is like friends, like good friends that I
Yeah.
grew up with, bought those pieces. They were, a couple $100 or something in nice little frames. My parents bought something too from that show. That's like the first legit thing I remember selling.
Yeah.
And then from there it would have been galleries. Commission wise was probably just a friend of mine commissioned a painting, and I'm pretty sure he still has it. It was like a large painting. I used to do oil painting, and I think that was about 25 years ago too.
Yeah.
So
now on the flip side,
Yeah.
where is like the coolest place that your art is at?
the coolest place
Other than
here?
the Mesa Contemporary Art
yeah, see,
Museum.
I beat you to that one.
Yeah.
Aside from this current place here.
Yes.
That's been shown anywhere, or just
Yeah, like in your opinion, like I mean,
man, you got some good questions.
I'm inquisitive.
I know you're good. Got to get in my A game. Let's see. I've shown in Tokyo. That was really interesting. So I had work at the National Folk Art Museum of Korea.
Oh, wow.
In Seoul, South Korea.
Okay.
Back in 2015, I had a couple of pieces as part of a larger show. And then the curators flew to San Francisco to do a studio visit. And the show was all kind of about denim, because denim was illegal there until like the 70s.
Oh, really?
You couldn't wear denim.
In Korea?
In Korea, yeah.
Wow.
South Korea.
South Korea,
North
yeah.
Korea, probably still illegal. But in South Korea. And so I don't know, I want to say it was 72, somewhere around then that started to open up more. But anyhow, this exhibition was kind of about denim, and so I had some denim quilts there. But when the curators came to San Francisco, they wanted a pair of my jeans that I had worn.
Oh, wow.
And so there's a pair of my jeans
Yeah.
that are in the museum, permanent collection of the museum.
Wow.
Of the
Yeah.
Folk Art Museum of Korea in
That's
Seoul,
a
South
niche.
Korea.
That's a niche ask.
I know, and I didn't wash them. Sorry.
That's okay, right? That's probably what made them authentic,
I
right?
know, right? And
Yeah.
they also got a pair of my real good friend's, his grandfather's jeans, which I had a pair of those because I was going to cut those up to make them into something. And he fought in the Korean War, so I also gave them a pair of his jeans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Clarence.
Nice.
Clarence Crambling. So.
Hey, shout out to Clarence.
Yeah. So it was like pretty interesting.
Nice.
That I thought is. I don't know if you can go see them, but they're there. If you can smell
Yeah.
them. Sorry.
Smell them. Can we smell them?
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. So in terms of impact, right? I think everyone has their own interpretation and desires for impact. What would you feel like your desire for the impact of your work to be?
The desire for my impact was just for someone to kind of basically just be inspired to pick up a needle and thread, or start sewing and making something of their own, be it their own clothing or a quilt, something that they can use for themselves. Because, I've lived in San Francisco for 20 years. We were one of the first cities in the United States to ban plastic bags. So this idea of like environmentally friendly which I kind of segued into my artwork, is this idea of I try to use as many like donated or recycled fabrics.
Yeah.
So we throw so much stuff away, and there's a lot of that material that can be altered or cut up and sewn back into something else.
Yeah.
So when I would hope that my impact on some degree is someone that comes and sees my work be like, oh, well, he uses a lot of these recycled fabrics. This is something that I can do with all these recycled fabrics that I have in my home. Because let's be honest, Marie Kondo literally screwed us all over because everyone went through their drawers and gave all their stuff away to these thrift stores.
Yeah.
So like my wife and I live in the Haight-Ashbury, and Haight-Ashbury is like one of the many reasons why it's known. There's a lot of reasons, but one of them is like we have a lot of like high-end thrift stores.
Okay.
So a lot of people are like constantly coming in the neighborhood.
That's
to,
like
dump fabric
that's a,
and
what is
stuff.
that, an oxymoron? A high-end thrift store?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like straight up how it is. Like, oh, that's not Gucci or you know, like really?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
That's crazy.
But I think for me, and I would be happy if someone like my impact would be to have someone start using some recycled fabrics and, you know, do your little part to save the environment, climate change, etc., and pushing everyone forward.
Yeah, and you know, it's fashion is such an expression of oneself.
Mm-hmm.
And it always has been, and so. But I think and not everyone is interested in expressing themselves in like a standout kind of way, which is why we have. What would you call it? Conveyor belt. It's why Target exists, right? It's like you can go to Target and you can get the same shirt that 50 other people have, or you can create your own and, you know, really get your hands dirty. And I think there's so much more value in that. Like, I don't know. I mean, it would be hard to create a whole wardrobe for yourself, but I love being able to create clothing as well. I'm a novice, you know. I haven't picked up thread or anything like that. But
well, you made a jacket, right?
I did make a jacket. I designed the jacket.
Tell me about this.
So I decided a couple years ago when I turned 40 that I wanted to really solidify my legacy.
Now you're talking,
right? I was
impact.
like, what is my legacy as a creative, right? And so I was like, I want to create a lifestyle brand, mostly just for myself so that I can, you know, no, it's funny when you said, don't wear your own stuff. I was like, I wear my own stuff.
That's different. I meant the t-shirt.
Yeah.
The band.
Yeah. No, but for me, it's because I want to just express myself and I want to, I don't hunt for my food. So the least I can do is make majority of the clothes that I wear, right? It makes me feel better.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And so a friend of mine, we were tossing around ideas and he was like, well, what do you want your brand to be? And I love humor. I love trying to be the best person that I can be. I love making an impact. I also at 40 realized that I'm always going to fall short. And so I was like, my brand is righteous, kinda.
Yeah.
Right. And I try, man. Strive for the righteous, learn from the kinda. Right.
There you go.
But last year I really wanted a Letterman jacket, and I took all the different designs that I made and put them into one jacket, and then I worked with a manufacturer to like do some embroidery and like I didn't make it, but I designed it.
No, you designed it. Yeah. You made it.
And yeah, you know, and it really was, for me, it was like a one of one. Like, this is only my jacket and it represents all the different chapters of my life and things like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny because every time I wear it, everyone's like, where do I get one of those? And
like, you can't.
I was like, you can't.
Yeah,
it's one of one.
I know, that's even better. It's like, this is like the golden child. You know? No, that's good.
It's really cool. So it is fun. So I was really inspired. Like, what inspired you to make your first jacket?
I think, you know, I grew up around the punk rock scene of the 90s in Atlanta, and everyone was kind of customizing clothing and stuff.
Patches and things like that.
Patches and sewing all kinds of stuff onto your jackets and whatnot. And I just saw that happening around me a lot. And I sewed some patches on to clothing, and that just kind of, you know, basically went from there.
Yeah.
That was probably, you know, my teenage years. And just that punk rock ethos of DIY was really important to me, that mentality.
Yeah.
Do it yourself. And that's totally led on into the artwork that I do today. I do all the art entirely myself for the most part, except for when I do collaborations. Like the jacket that's here at the museum, that was a collaboration with my good friend Tool, T-U-L. He's based down in Los Angeles. well, I guess it's probably just west of here, but
Yeah.
I'm speaking as if I'm in Northern California.
In Northern California.
NorCal, yeah, sorry, over there. And he's a chain stitcher, and he does a lot of like custom jackets and stuff.
Oh,
and so
cool.
we collaborated on the jacket that's here at the museum, and it's a Letterman jacket, men's Letterman jacket style. That's like the most complex one of, like those are the more complex. When I was younger, they're obviously not nearly that complex.
Yeah.
But and it's kind of a way of identity. When you're a teenager, you're kind of really going through all kinds of different identities.
Yeah, you are.
And like you wanted to identify, like, look, I skate. I'm into punk rock. I'm into this type of music, metal, etc. And you wear your interests literally on your sleeve.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I had an old car that had like a Operation Ivy sticker on the back because I thought it was so cool. Things like that. It's like, I want you to know how cool I am.
Yeah, I mean that's how we
when we were young.
That's how we identified.
Now I'm just like whatever. Just plain.
The older we get, the more simplistic I think, at least for me, for sure. But yeah, we're tribal.
Yeah, totally.
and that's how we express ourselves and identify ourselves, right?
And that's how you find others that are interested in what you're interested in.
Yeah.
And this is like pre-internet too, mind you. So I can't be like, we're all the cool kids in downtown Atlanta. I don't know. You'd have to kind of go out and seek them and go into like house shows, seeing shows in people's like kitchens, garages, basements, warehouses.
Yeah.
It was like a free-for-all. It was awesome.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question really quickly. So would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Well, it's funny because I was just...
Or a hybrid?
Probably a hybrid. I was just reading something the other day, and someone was also telling me it's like you're one person in public and you're someone else at home.
Yes.
Right? So
100%.
I'm married with a 6-year-old daughter, and I'm definitely I'm dad at home.
Yeah.
And then, like, when I'm out in the world, I'm someone completely different.
Yeah.
But I would say that I'm not a total introvert, but I'm not an extrovert. Like, I'm kind of hybrid would probably be the best way to describe it. Like, I'm fine. I've given a fair amount of lectures in public with, a lot of people in the audience. But then, like, I also just want to be left alone.
You want to? I think that's
what I mean? Like after today,
100%
I'm gonna go hide out for a while after today.
Yeah.
But I'm fine doing this. But afterwards, I need to recharge.
You got to recharge the battery.
Yeah. Like my real good friend Kevin Taylor can just like his way of recharging is like going out and like hanging out with other people.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I cannot do that, man.
That's
like,
full on.
Just not.
That's
me.
full on extrovert.
Yeah, he is. And we would talk about because I read this book about like there's three types of people, and there's like you're a salesman, a maven, or someone who is like complete like knows everybody, know, and like you're like one of those three people, and he is definitely a little bit of all three.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would say like I'm maybe a little bit of this and maybe a little bit of the other one, and that's it.
It's good. Balance is important.
Yeah.
All right. So the reason why I asked that question is because I think all great creatives have to live in the duality of introvert and extrovert. But I think it's funny for me, I'm very introverted if I don't have to be extroverted, right? When I'm on, but when I'm out, I don't really like to start conversations. Yeah. So I feel like clothing is a way where a conversation can be started and it's on your terms, right? If somebody comes up and say, hey, that's a really cool hat. Like, I really like that. I know this might be my person and we can have a conversation. Yeah, so that's like my strategy for how I get people to talk to me so I don't have to go out and talk to people.
I like
it's
that.
clothing, right?
No, that's totally on point. Yeah, that's totally on point.
Yeah. All right. So talk a little bit about your exhibition here at the Mesa Contemporary Art Museum. What are we going to see when we come in to take a look at it?
So I think it's around 12 pieces, mostly quilts, one custom jacket, and I believe one custom tote bag. Most of the work was done in the last 2 to 3 years, except that giant quilt that was made back in 2011. Everything else, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think right now, was definitely in the last 3 years.
Okay.
So it's all pretty new work, so that's something to keep in mind. This is what I've been up to the last couple years. A lot of the work was commissioned by collectors that's in the show here, and there are a couple pieces that are not, but it's kind of like a mix mash. But what I chose these pieces because it was more indicative of what I've been up to like now.
Yeah.
Right. And I think and then the really big one, the large quilt See You on the Other Side, which was done back in 2011. I thought it was interesting to kind of see like, that's what I was doing in 2011. This is what I've been up to since like 2021, 2020.
Yeah.
To kind of get a little bit of like a historical kind of
the
idea.
evolution.
Yeah. And like, I don't want to give myself away, but like, if you were to walk up to the See You on the Other Side quilt, you can see it's constructed a little bit different than the newer ones.
Okay.
And that's because I'm still learning. So
Yeah.
Right.
Always learning.
Always learning. You know, I'm not a professional. I'm a top-seeded amateur at best. I'm not exactly sure where my ranking is, but getting higher every day.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not first, you're last. Trying to do the best that I can, but always trying to learn new techniques or new shortcuts or new ways to do things from all the very experienced people that work within the medium of textiles out there.
Nice. That makes me think of a question that I want to ask you. When was the first time you had a realization that like you're kind of famous?
Never.
Never? Really?
No, I
Never?
don't think when people say famous, I think of like Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, or
the A-list celebrities.
Man, like,
but in the visual art world, you're a big deal.
I don't know.
That's why you're here. That's why you're at the Mesa.
That's why I'm being interviewed by Tomas.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm across from you.
I only interview top tier famous people.
Now you're talking. Now there's the extrovert coming out. There you go. I like it. It. Put it all on the table, man. When was the first realization? Like, years ago. I'll tell you a funny story because this reminds me of a similar situation that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Is I was interviewed for NPR, not Fresh Air. It was like All Things Considered many years ago, and it was a similar setup to this where except I was in my own, the person interviewing me, it was in San Francisco, but the person that was interviewing me was actually in, I think they were in D.C., not Philly.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. But I was in San Francisco, and I was in my own sound booth, but then there's the engineer and this other sound booth that I could see. And it was a setup like this with the microphones right up in my face, but I was in a swivel chair.
Okay.
And as I was saying earlier, I'm a fidgeter, and I can't sit still. So throughout the interview, and the sound engineer in San Francisco was like, look, the microphone is really, really sensitive. Don't move. And I was like, oh my God, it's like the worst thing you can do because I was pretty nervous about it. I'd already spilled a giant thing of tea all over my lap before I walked into the studio. So I'm sitting there, and throughout, it was like an hour long, the chair had slowly
started to move.
But I didn't want to move back because it made a lot of noise. So by the end of the interview, I was like this.
Like you have a crick in your neck?
Yeah, and the guy, I think he was just like, what is this kid doing? He's an idiot.
Yeah.
I looked so weird. Because he's doing my levels to me so I could sound good. That's what he was doing. So the point being was that got aired on NPR, and then that's kind of when the first inclination that I was kind of had like national attention.
Yeah.
And that was a little weird, and then more recently, a few years ago, I was on CBS Sunday Morning, like Jane Pauley.
Oh, wow. Big time.
She wore all black, which is hilarious. She was trying to be all like super goth or metal. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But I was interviewed on that, just like a 3-minute segment. And after that was, people were like, hey, I saw you on TV.
Yeah.
Because it was national TV, and that was a little strange.
Yeah.
I got a lot of weird emails after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
People asking for money?
Just like one person thought I was like their long lost son, and I was like,
"Oh wow,
I'm not."
Yeah,
but thanks.
Yeah, hope you find him.
Yeah, best of luck. It's not me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't really talk about that stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just like a person in the world, like everybody else. Yeah,
It's why I asked that question, because I get real cool vibes from you, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. My
well,
wife,
of course,
my wife. Shout out to my wife. I always call her a bruja, which is like a witch in Spanish. She does the saging and the crystals, and I love it. Right? She's very intuitive. I need that in my life, and so I've really become more in tune with just energy. And I'm like, yeah, this guy's really cool. So I think really cool people, genuinely cool people, when they get kind of put into the spotlight, it does make them feel uncomfortable. But it's a part of the journey. And who knows, like, does that change your inspiration? I think it does. Like, not in a drastic way, but as you get more recognition, more, platforms that you're on, your journey just continues to evolve, and who knows what's next.
I can't remember what the actor's name was. He was in like the Partridge Family. I'm blanking on his name right now, but I remember him saying something like about being a celebrity. Like, look, like, you signed on for this in some capacity.
You did.
So don't act like you don't like it. Like, don't complain about it.
Yeah.
And I kind of I've looked at like my whatever successes I've had in my artistic career. It's like, yeah, like, that's all part of it. Like, in so much, it's like, you got to go through the motions of like, get up early, do the interviews, put your best foot forward, be professional, be courteous, try to be kind to everyone who comes up to you. Like, especially if you have a show, if you're in a band, or if you are a fine artist and someone comes up and says, hey, I really like your work. Like, whatever, if you're in a bad mood, whatever, it doesn't matter. You should always say thank you.
Yes.
Because they're taking time out of their day to come up and talk to you.
Yeah.
And I just think that's, I try to be that person, because I've seen other people do that are actually famous and more and successful, and I'm doing my best to mimic them.
Yeah. As long as my 8-year-old thinks I'm famous, then that's as famous as
there
I am.
There you
go. I speak to a lot of people in Phoenix and Mesa. They're big cities, but they're kind of small in that particular context. So I know a lot of people. So whenever we're out, there's a likelihood that I'll see someone that I know and he thinks I'm famous, because he's like, man, you know everybody.
There you go.
It's like, I'm famous, man.
Dad's a baller, man. Come on.
But he doesn't. I don't know. Is your daughter into like YouTube channels and things like that, or do you?
Not yet.
Not yet.
She's 6. She just started first grade.
Okay.
But we're trying not to be terrible parents, as you know.
I hear you.
It's real difficult, but
it is.
She does watch a lot of cartoons, and I can probably recite Tangled and Moana and all those other great Disney movies.
It's the best part of being a dad.
I know, it's good.
But the YouTube channels are interesting because they can be dangerous, and you definitely have to create boundaries. But my son has learned so much.
So he's watching like tutorials.
He's watching tutorials. He does watch some trash, but so do I. So we all do. We're righteous, kind of, right?
Yeah.
But he always tells me that I'm not that famous because I don't have a YouTube channel. Right.
Oh, so that's like he's like, all right, Dad will be famous. He's on YouTube.
If he sees you, the best. I think one of the greatest things in my life would be as if he's just flipping through
and
like shorts, and then all of a sudden I'd be concerned about his algorithm.
Yeah.
It's like, why
are you feeding that?
What are you nerd? So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
It'll happen.
It will.
And it'll be like when you least expect it. Right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Because I had a somewhat similar situation with our daughter. I had a show last year at the Hickory Art Museum, and I didn't realize they were going to print up large photos of me in my studio.
Yeah.
And they put them up in the galleries, and my studio at the time was in our apartment, which our daughter is very familiar with, obviously. She lives there.
Yeah.
And she walked in the gallery, she's like, oh, there's Dad. I know, that's our apartment.
Yeah.
And she thought that was kind of cool.
Oh, of course, man.
Like, yeah.
It's the best part of being, I think, for me, and success is a relative term, but like a successful artist, the greatest part for me is that my kids get to see that, and they at least know that that is an opportunity, not to chase the success, but to chase your passions, your dreams, and to create. Like, whatever your creation is, create. But if you're not creating in this life, then I think you're just getting one step closer to like becoming a robot. You know?
There's so many things out there that you can do with your life, and when you have a parent much like you that are doing different things, I think that's just a really good example to your kids and others that like you don't have to just do this.
Yes.
There's so much more out there in the world that's open to you. that you might not know about, but go out there and find it.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
It might not be easy to find, but that's okay. Like you and I are probably really close in age, and so like we're like the last generation of analog.
Yes.
Right?
This is true. Yeah.
Which I think is of great benefit to us because we know when you wanted to find out good music, you couldn't just type it in your computer and have it just shoved down your throat by an algorithm.
Yeah.
You had to go do some work.
You had to do some work.
You had to get in your car, get on the bus, get on your bicycle, and go find it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was really important. And I'm just hoping that our children have that kind of same drive when they get a little bit older, which I think that they will.
They will.
I
think they're at least for me, I find opportunities where I have to encourage and push my younger son for sure to go be creative with your hands and your imagination. Like turn off the technology, go bang some wood with a hammer, because it's like creativity is not something we're born with. It's something we develop through practice. And so I definitely, but to your point of somebody called me the other day, so I'm Gen X.
Yeah, me too.
But somebody called me a Gen X boomer because they, I thought it was hilarious because they were like, you have that grumpy old boomer.
Oh, come on.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
but I think it just comes with, I'm 45 years old. I'm tired.
older than you, barely. Yeah, I'm 46.
I'm a little grumpy sometimes.
No,
but
I'm grumpy all the time.
Yeah, but that generation, not to get on like a competition pedestal, but you're right. We are the last generation that had to like actually work for information. And now it's going to be really interesting with these younger generations of how they're going to develop when information is so accessible, but doesn't require a lot of like work,
To your point, a former teacher of mine, I went to Georgia State University from undergrad. I have a BFA in drawing and painting, and one of my teachers, Joseph Perugini, was a big fan of baseball. He liked sports, but he liked baseball.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing painter, oil painter, like phenomenal painter. But he'd always have these like baseball analogies with art, which is like, really?
Yeah.
But they're good. He's like, one day he's like, look, art is like playing a sport. You have to put in your time. You have to practice. So you have to like run the bases. You have to field the balls. You have to do your batting practice. You have to throw the pitches. Just like in art, you have to like be in the studio, practice your brush strokes, practice, your sketches, work in your sketchbook, get up in front of people and talk about your art, hear your own voice, explain what you're about. And you have to practice, always practice that. And I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, 10,000 hours.
Exactly. Wayne Gretzky, man. Yeah, totally. And like a friend of mine from grad school, she went to RISD, and Kara Walker was her teacher at one point. And one of Kara Walker's assignments was do 100 drawings. Now, I'm not saying you have to do a super detailed drawing, but the point of it was what we're talking about. It was just do 100 drawings.
Yep.
Luckily for me, her father was my teacher, Larry Walker.
Yeah.
And he had similar assignments, which are really interesting. And it's just like, it's the practice thing.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what, like what you're talking about with your son, it's like, just go build something.
Go build something.
Or go destroy something that's okay to destroy.
Yeah, for sure.
In order to create, we first must destroy, right?
Yeah.
So, that kind of mentality.
I love it. So towards the end of the podcast, I always like to get into the mind of the folks that I'm interviewing and get those like really deep, like things that are going to change the trajectory of our listeners, right?
Okay.
And,
no pressure whatsoever.
No. But I think what's really interesting is, and I've done this enough where when I talk to really successful creatives and artists, I think it goes to the basics. You just said it. Like, what is the recipe, right?
Okay.
10,000 hours.
No,
yeah.
I have a better one for you.
Okay.
And it's totally not from me. I stole it from someone else. So
Okay.
it's legit.
Cool.
In order to be successful in life, you need to do 2 of 3 things. The 3 things are be on time,
Yes.
be easy to work with, and do good work.
There you go.
Now, you can apply that to business, flying a plane. Obviously, be good at flying a plane, please.
Yeah.
But let's apply it to art. So make good art, duh.
Yeah.
And be on time and be easy to work with. So try to, obviously, if you could do all 3, you're super golden.
Yeah.
You're on your way. But if you need to do at least 2 out of the 3. And kind of what we were touching on a little bit earlier about like when people come up to you and like, hey, I like this or like that, always be kind. Like, so, and I was adjunct faculty at the San Francisco Art Institute for many years. I taught in the graduate program, and I'd always tell my students, look, like, pick 2 of these 3 things and then just, hone in on that. But one thing I would always say to you is like, be easy to work with. Okay?
Yeah.
Like when you go out in the world, like no one wants to do business with someone who's difficult, regardless of what you're doing in life.
100%.
It doesn't matter. You could be the best artist, best musician, but if you are just a prima donna, total nightmare, people don't want to have anything to do with you. Okay?
Exactly, yeah.
Like that's been my experience in the world. But and then go to one further for me personally to kind of tack on my appendix to that 3-part that I stole from somebody else, would be like, don't try not to burn bridges.
Yeah.
You never know when someone will come back into your life that might have like pissed you off earlier or done something, and then you didn't burn that bridge, and then it comes back full circle.
Yeah.
I mean, I really cannot emphasize that more. Be like, it's amazing. Because, we're all in it together in a lot of ways. And, the fine art world, after you get to be around our age, which is super young, is that it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, especially when you travel for exhibitions like this and you meet other people and they know a lot of the same people. And, like, people talk about others all the time, right?
Yeah.
So you want to have a good name. It's kind of what Patti Smith has said. And it's like, your name is your currency. So,
100%.
Spend properly. You
Yeah,
know?
that's so important.
Right.
And it takes a lot of work to burn a bridge. Like when you think
Right.
about it, right? For some people, it's really easy. Those are people who are toxic and
they're burning bridges left and right.
they're burning bridges.
They're on an island of themselves.
But it takes effort, right? You have to think about how to burn a bridge. Sometimes relationships end, but you don't have to burn the bridge. I think
Right.
that's really good advice for anybody out there. So now the last 2 most important questions, I'll save the most important for last. But if you had to tell somebody this book is a must read, what is it?
Must read. God, I don't know. I'm trying to go over like, do I want to go the art route or like the literary?
I know, right? It's a tough one. I'll tell you mine.
You're just kind of setting me up for stuff I have to think about
Oh,
here, man.
sorry.
Come on.
The
These are too
Alchemist.
good.
Have you ever heard of the book The Alchemist?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
So
It's a must read for me.
okay,
Simple.
I will read that one.
Okay.
I have not read that. Just off the top of my head, I really like Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay.
So
Yep.
I'd say The Tipping Point was a good one
It's a
for
very
me.
good book.
But okay, John Maida's Laws of some Simplicity.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
Gotta spit it out. He was at MIT, and then he was at RISD. I don't know where he's at now. The book came out a couple years ago. It's only 100 pages long.
There you
Laws
go.
of
That's
Simplicity.
easy, yeah.
And there's areas in it where he's talking about, like, maybe you're a teacher, and he's like, repeat, repeat, repeat. That's kind of how you get your message across. I was like, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
John
Laws
Maida.
of Simplicity.
Laws of Simplicity.
All right,
would
like
be-
it.
That I would say that one.
All right. Now.
And Malcolm Gladwell.
And
Wait,
Malcolm
Malcolm
Gladwell. All right. Ready for the most important question?
No.
What is Ben Venom's favorite ice cream?
Oh, vanilla.
Oh, I love
man.
it. You know what's so interesting?
Plain Jane, man.
I cannot
Vanilla.
tell you how many people I've asked that question to, like really brilliant, talented individuals. And I'm starting to think that it's like you put so much effort into being brilliant and talented that when it comes to ice cream, you just want just regular vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, vanilla all the time.
I mean, because vanilla, you could do
Straight
a lot
up.
of things to
French
spice it up if you
vanilla,
want. Yeah.
and, you know.
Yeah, I know. I like that.
So, since we both have children, you'll like this. So, as I was saying, my daughter is 6, and the first time we took her to get ice cream was a couple years ago, and we said nothing. We just walked up there and like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Vanilla.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
I was like, DNA, man.
There it is.
Genetics are real.
I know.
I
That's
was like,
interesting, man.
It was crazy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was really surprised.
Well, if you had to guess what the second most popular one is, what would you say?
From the people that you
Yeah,
that you've
just
interviewed?
yeah. The millions of people I've interviewed.
The millions of people you interviewed. Well, I guess I'm kind of like Rocky Road, Sugar Nightmare, Hellfire crap shit.
Mint chocolate chip.
Okay.
Mint chocolate
yeah.
chip, which to some people, most people,
okay.
it's like toothpaste. They're like, why would you
It
eat
is kind of like
toothpaste,
toothpaste,
right?
man.
Yeah.
I don't.
I like it.
can't do
I
it.
don't know why, but I like it. But
I can't do that.
Ben, I got to be honest. I had no idea what to expect coming into this because that's my format.
Yeah,
and how
do
I do
no
this.
research whatsoever.
No research. I mean, I had to do a little. I read your intro, but I will say one vibe check. You're a totally cool individual, man.
Well, thanks. I try.
I appreciate that, and I'm really excited that you're here. I'm really looking forward to the exhibition.
Cool.
It will be on display starting September 13th. Going into January, right? And so please come take a look at it. Any final thoughts for the viewers?
Just want to say thank you very much for your time, and I really appreciate it. And the last thing I would say is I got another bit of advice for you is always follow your dumb ideas.
Yeah, I love that, man. And that is a perfect way to end this podcast. Always follow your dumb ideas. With that being said, have a great rest of your trip here, and we'll talk soon.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Yep.